Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Sex Podcast, a show that examines all aspects of sexuality, from physical to emotional to spiritual. Join our hosts as they discuss age-old questions, common misconceptions, and the latest topics surrounding sex. They'll tackle topics about sexuality from the complicated to the hilarious and everything in between. GSMC Sex Podcast is your show for all of your questions about sex, even some you might not have thought of yet.
Welcome to the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network with your host, Andra. Where the topic about sex is from the point of view of an older woman. Now, we've had, and all of us have had them, dreams about having sex with someone, either be somebody else other than our partner, or, really, really bad situation altogether. And we've all had them, and we've all thought about it when we woke up in the morning and said, oh my God, what does that dream mean? Well, it is not uncommon to have sex dreams, or even dreams of you masturbating, or with somebody that you'd probably never have sex with because they don't turn you on that way in real life. But it does happen. And Refinery 29, which is a website who talks about sex and other things, actually did a mini type study, if you want to call it that, where they actually asked the therapist to interpret sex dreams. Because a lot of people need to ask or say to themselves, oh my God, I would never, or, oh my God, why did I have that? Oh my God, do I like that person? Or, I really don't like that person. Why would I have a sex dream about that person? Let alone have a regular dream about them. So, they had it where they, separated two groups in one camp. They had it where experts were claiming that dreams are nothing more than images randomly spat out at you for 8 hours, during that REM sleep, REM sleep. And that's when you're really dreaming to begin with, because that's your deepest stage of sleep. And that while you're in this particular stage of sleep, the REM runs off the ebb, and the flow of neurotransmitters, which we all have and are working when we go to sleep. That dreams are just the brain's way of dealing with these random firings. So basically what they were saying were that our neurotransmitters that stimulate our sexual desires or our sexual needs go a little wacky-tabacky when we're sleeping, and they will randomly pick an image and put it into our sex dream, and that's that individual to whom, we're having that dream about, or the like. And, some people will disagree with that because we have dreams of masturbating, and those are so common and so normal, it is unreal. So don't ever think that they are not common. We all have them. Where you wake up and you have a boner, or for a woman, you wake up and you're so totally wet and you have a nipple erection. So it is normal. Don't ever think that it's not. Now, in the second camp that they put together, they had an interpreter who actually is the person to which they got their information for this particular little piece that they wrote, this little study. This person is a therapist and a life coach out of the UK. Although this is a couple of years old, this little study, I still think that it has longevity with it with regarding sex dreams and how our brains work, because obviously the therapist came right out with the id, the ego, and the superego, and how they work for us and, manipulate our thought processes, when we dream. So all therapists seem to initially talk about those three particular things. So, and, this particular therapist felt that, sex dreams operate on one level below our consciousness. During waking hours, we have the id. There's that lovely, lovely id, which says, I'm hungry, I want sex, I want comfort. In this situation, it's the I want sex that we're more particular with. I want warmth. It's our animal drive. So, the ego is what we think of ourselves. What do we think of ourselves? We always have high hopes and things for us, except for those individuals who have low self-esteem and need to work on it, because there's always a good and sexy part of each individual. That's what the opposite sex or the same sex sees. So don't ever think that you do not have anything good about yourself, because that's not true. Then it comes the superego, which is the part that says I should. So this is how this particular therapist thought of sex dreams and interpreted them in that manner. Because we all think that, those strange dreams about sex and that individual, the person we never have sex with, we shouldn't have. But in the sex part of it, which is the first thing that gets addressed here, is having sex with the wrong person, quote unquote wrong. It may be wrong to you, but it may not be for somebody else. But this is actually, it's that person looking at their boss and then having a sex dream about them that night, which could be a normal thing. You see this person every day of the week. But, if you're continually having sexual relationships in your mind and in your dreams with this individual, and you can't understand why, do see a therapist. But this is usually meaning that you are attracted to this individual. And it may not just be for looks. It may be something that they do that you're attracted to that you don't have somewhere else in your life, or somebody else doesn't do that for you. So it just might be that attraction, and you're having sex with it in your dream because that's what your brain is interpreting it as. So, obviously, if you get up in the morning and you just laugh that off and you tell your partner, oh my God, I had a sex dream where me and my boss were going at it on every wall of a frickin' house. And then you just laugh it off and it's not thought of again. Or when you see this person, you can just laugh at that and then shove it off. Well, then there is nothing to think about and nothing to even worry about with that. But if it continues, yes, there is something that you need to think about. The next thing is having sex with your parents. Now, when we were little, or at one point in our lives, we have walked in on our parents having it. If you were little and you saw daddy on top of mommy just pumping away, pumping and humping, first thing you thought of was daddy is hurting mommy, and, oh my God, you're traumatized. And that image remains in there, and that's what you'll dream of. Or it could be the opposite way, and mommy is on top of daddy riding him like a horse, and that saddle is getting a workout. Same concept, same damaging images, but as you go older or whatever, we believe that our parents don't have sex. they only had sex to have us, basically, to have their children's. That is all. This is not the way babies are made. The stork comes and brings them. Well, this might just be that. And that's how it's explained to you. Not a very healthy way to explain sex to your children, but hey, if it got you through those awkward years of trying to explain how, two people get together, screw the hell out of each other, the penis goes into the vagina, and boom, it makes a baby. After all of that, and they all get their jollies off. True as it may be. Not the reality. However, the therapist in this article actually explains this as possibly having, issues where you want to be, closer to your parents. And in the therapist, it tells you to ask yourself, or they ask that individual, are your parents active parents, which are active in your life in every way, shape, and form? Or are you dreaming about an estranged parent? One parent may be out of the family, and you're wondering if this person is having sex with somebody else. And if, your parent is no longer having sex, but in reality they are. These are questions that you are going to be asked. Another way of looking at your sexuality with your parents and your dreams is, do you want to be closer to your parents? And is your mind just boiling over that down to its crudest form? And that is where you're imagining having sex or dreaming about having sex with your parents. So, a really odd way to view your parents when you get with them. But let me tell you, your parents are probably humping just as much as you are. It doesn't mean because you're young and they're older and they had you and that was the only time they had it. Get that thought right out of there, because they're having sincere. When you're not around, that is their time. When you're sleeping, that is their time. You might subconsciously be hearing them through the wall, and daddy is banging mommy up the headboard up against the wall while he's humping mama. But needless to say, it does happen, and they do not stop just because you were born or just because you are there. We are going to take a break here, and when we come back, we will finish up with our sex dreams and how they are interpreted, or how they can be interpreted. So get that drink, get that snacks, and come on back.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco, ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
still on the search of that one true love? On the limbo in this crazy world of dating, marriage, relationships? Well, listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Relationship Podcast, your one-stop podcast for everything about relationships.
Welcome back to the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network, with your host, Andra, with a topic about sex from the point of view of an older woman. Now, welcome back to part 2 of sex dreams and how they're interpreted. I mean, these just may be a couple or a few. You may have had some real different ones. But unless it is really, really bothering you and really, really affecting you every night of the week, you rarely have to go see a sex therapist or a therapist for that reason. It is normal to have masturbation dreams. It is normal to wake up and masturbate in your sleep. Find out that you've masturbated in your sleep and that you've done wet up the bed. Part of nature. Part of our bodies, and part of something every human being has, whether they want to admit to it or not. So let's go on. Next kind of sex dream that someone has is experience, sexual violence of any kind. Now, this dream can be viewed in different ways. One way is it could be an anxiety attack that you may be having, and this is the way that you are, it is actually being played out, because you may get up in the morning and say, oh my God, I had this dream, I was experiencing or witnessing someone being sexually assaulted, or you were the assaulter. This may be the way your anxiety is playing out, and this is what they found in this article, this therapist, and how it is explained. However, some people had that feeling that they couldn't do anything. They witnessed it, but were unable to do anything or to help that victim. Well, we all have dreams like that. We have them when we're running and we can't get away fast enough because we feel as like we are frozen. Do not ever take that as like you would do that in real life. You may be put into that situation and you probably be the first person to help that individual. But it is viewed as a form of possible anxiety that you are experiencing. Another way of thinking, well, that's the psychological view of it. But the other way, if we're going to go with regards to sex, it could be that you yourself want to be the sexual aggressor or be dominating in that sexual relationship, or even to play out some sort of dominating or sadism type sexual act with your partner or with somebody else. It may not be with your partner that you want to do it with. It may be a power game that you want to play out. Having that sexual control and having yourself in control of what's going to happen during sex. This may just be a part of that. You could ask yourself, or this is how the therapist did it, do you feel like you don't have a voice at work? You may be lacking somewhere, and this is your way of showing your control is through this violent sex act. in your dreams, because this is probably the only place you would probably do it. You're probably not that type of person. But we do have that, but you need to ask yourself these questions. Are you being trodden down in area of your life? Like basically you're going down like avenue you don't want to go. And taking control back is through this violent sex. That act. You may just want to act it out, but don't know how to. In doing it where, you're thinking in your head, oh my God, I'll never do that to my partner during sex. You don't know that. If your partner allowed you to spice it up in the bedroom, you do not know how far you would go. You need to, that's why it's trial and error and having lots of communication with your partner and knowing your limits and having that safe word, because both of you have to feel comfortable when getting a little rough in the bed, because roughness in the bed is fun. It is a turn on, so don't ever think that it is a bad thing. So basically having a sexually violent dream may be that way of you taking control of one portion of your life. And it's not you who are having this. You may also be it may be some sort of transference where somebody that has actually went down through this and experienced this, but somehow you are thinking about it and dreaming about it, which is odd as that may sound. It can happen. So the next one that was addressed, obviously, is your masturbating. I don't think I have to say much about that. Probably already woke up and your sheets were soaked. And what did you push it off to? Oh my God, I was sweating so bad last night. No, your butt was probably masturbating and got your jollies off. So don't think that you were sweating and that was the only thing that was happening. You may wake up in the morning after having one of those dreams and become completely frustrated because you could not get off hard enough or get off enough, and it didn't satisfy you in the dream. So you're not satisfied when you wake up and need to relieve yourself. You want to finish what you started because basically you're waking up with a boner, or for women, you're waking up wetness, and get out that dildo, finish off thinking about that all day long, which is normal if you do not finish it out and relieve that feeling. So don't ever think that's a bad thing. When you're in the shower, finish off. You don't have to have your partner, see? Or if you live alone, who gives a rat's ass? Sit there and just do it on the bed and finish it off. So you can get up feeling good about it and thinking about it later, and it's not lingering on throughout the day that you need to finish. Because if you do that, you may turn around and end up going to bed with someone you really didn't want to go to bed with just to get your jollies off. So it may be fun with two people, but if you didn't want to be in bed with that person in the first place, why go that way? Another common one, or one that people do have, is having sex with an animal. They're animals. We're animals. We just talk. They communicate in different ways. And it is a fetish or a disorder going to, having sex with animals against the law, and I've known and heard of cases where individuals have had sex with their dog. It's a female dog. You need to understand, although not normal and is always associated with the disorder, you do think and wonder, because how many times have you seen a dog or two neighborhood dogs come together and they're humping each other, they're stuck together, and they tell you spray them with water to get them apart. They're having their fun too. Or you see the dog get excited and a big red schlong comes flying out between its legs. So it's excited. Horses have bigger ones, but then again, you don't want that. What you can do instead, if that's what you're thinking of, role play with your partner and get a furry suit. This is an actual group, and it is sexually related to act out on these ideations where in behaviors of having sex with an animal, and it may just satisfy you in that manner. This way you can get those thoughts out of your mind. I mean, there are lots of groups out there. They are called furries. They are a lot more put together and a lot differently looked at right now, but they do still have their private clubs where this is what they do, and this is the main focus of that furry group. So it is a sexual fetish, and it is being done, and it continues to be done. So this may be your way of getting this out of your system. We're going to take another break here. So when we come back, we will look at 7 different sex dreams and 7 ways of looking at them and analyze them or talk about them, however you want to approach that. But when we come back, that's what we're doing. So replenish your snack, replenish your drink, and meet me back here.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network with your host, Andra, where the topic about sex is from the point of view of an older woman. Now, welcome back to our final portion of our segment today. I know I'm sudden too, but we're going to finish out. Let's, looking at some other sex dreams that were discussed, and we may all be having them. Don't ever think that you are immune from them. Now, one that they go over again, which is right on the top of their list, is sex with a stranger or an acquaintance. It's probably someone that you're probably attracted to and or not attracted to, but you are attracted to them in some particular, discussed earlier, but you friend, but you know in your head that this person, but there must be something that you're thinking about. But if you're having that sex dream more than once, then I believe you need to actually address that. At least talk to your partner, or if you and your partner are having problems, end it there. You might want to wait a little while before you approach that friend. Because remember, they are still your partner's friend. They're probably yours as well, but they are still your partner's friend. So think about it. I mean, it just may be a case of an overactive libido. You don't know that, but you may also have this where this has really been bothering you and you feel that this is something that you need to act out. Tread lightly on that thought, please. Number 2 on their list. And continuing on with our sex dreams. There are possibilities, be experiencing reoccurring sex dreams with your ex-partner. This is not uncommon if you have recently broken up with them, because you may not be getting sex quickly thereafter, and sex probably was really good with that person. However, there is 2 ways of looking at this. The first one is that you miss them, you're thinking about them, you're getting hard for them in your dreams. So you may want to, and this is going on more than once during the week, when you go to sleep, you might want to think about your relationship, and if you're longing to be with them again, because you're not going to be able to have a very good relationship with anybody else if you haven't addressed that one first. It may just be that you, out of nowhere, you had this dream about your ex, but it meant nothing. And you were just probably thinking about that individual and what they were up to, and it just came out in a sexual dream. Hey, you got your kicks off. It may just get you to remember that sex was good, but the rest of it wasn't. So, and it might not even have been that. You might have just been in 2 bad places and needed a break from each other. But if it does reoccur, you might want to address it, because that is your body and your mind telling you that you still want to be with that individual, which is so sweet. But you must make sure that that individual wants to be with you as well. Another one is, now, dreams we had talked about were sexual violence and not being able to do anything. And as I mentioned, it may have to do something with dominance, or you wanting to act out in that manner with some BDSM. And this is another dream that you may be having. It may just be you are having you want to act out some bondage, discipline, sadism, or masochism. I screwed that word right up, didn't I? It's been a long day already. But it is Monday, so I have an excuse. But yes, you may be thinking about that BDSM, and you may want to try it out. So this may be your way of subconsciously wondering if this is the way you might want to do it. Again, it's around in the bedroom, and go for that. Put some little spice in there. You may have the next one on your list, which most people do. And the most famous one is in the movie Ghostbusters, the first one. And the ghost is providing oral sex. This goes on the line of just imagining, masturbation is one thing, but having someone do oral sex to you is another. You may look at this two ways. One, that right now your partner does not provide that for you when you are having sex, and you have tried to get them to do it, but they just will not because it's something they do not like, but you want them to do. Do not force that. Find other ways to feel this out. Two is that you are getting it and getting it well, and you want it done more or in a different fashion or in a different manner. So again, talk this over with your partner, because holding their head between your legs is not going to even get you sex at that point, because they're going to have a sour taste in their mouth. Literally and figuratively. So you might want to think about that before you decide to hold someone's head there. Either way, male or female. So just be respectful of your partner's views and how feelings and emotions and all that good stuff wrapped up in when it comes to sex. Number 5 on the list is sex with a student or teacher. Now we know this is against the rules, but you may go to class every day, and when you were imagined your girlfriend, being your girlfriend or something along that line, because you really like them, they help you out, or you equate their help with sexual fantasies. When you were young, they were cute, and even then they needed to be addressed. But when you get older, you have issues. It is against school policy. Too many people have been getting arrested for it. So let's not go into that manner. If you were not there and you met this person outside of there, you've graduated, hell, that might be something different. And having sex with them may just happen. But while you're in school, keep thinking about it, or find other ways to help you with that view. Sex in the bathtub. Come on, this is not uncommon for anybody. The warmth of the water going down your body and, trickling down your back and touching, on a woman, going down your nipples and just warming them up. Or if it's cold and it gets you've gone from warm and now the water is turning cold and everything just stands right up. Although with men, I see shrinkage in your future, but some guys may not. It is not uncommon to have sex. Remember, we came watery bath in our parents' tummy, and our mother's tummy, shall we say. So it may be your comfort spot, but it is common to have the thoughts and dreams of having sex in the bath, even in the shower. You see it on TV, you've probably done it yourself. So it's not an uncommon dream. Now, with somebody that you're not with, or with somebody you will never ever be able to do that with, that needs to be either played out in another way, or get out that dildo, get out that, Mary Five Fingers, or however they say that, in the palm, Mary Palm and her 5 sisters, I believe it said. So you might want to think in a different way. A lot of us have dreams involving dirty talk. This might be what you want your partner to say to you during your act of sex or while you're humping them. We did talk about dirty words and things to moan during sex in the last segment. But now you're dreaming of it. How can you go one further? Kind of common. Just remember, if you want to play out those acts during your sexual encounters, please do talk to your partner. That, unfortunately, is the end of my show. So, as always, please practice safe sex. If not for your partner, for yourself. Also, stay safe with the coronavirus lingering its little head out there. Tune in next time for some more sex talk with your host, Andra.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sex Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows from the GSMC Podcast Network. From sex and relationships to health and wellness, life and happiness, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts Sex Podcast.